Kitty Nona. Hello, dear. How are you? Fanaticals. The 3G Crusader 24. Merry Christmas, Crusader. ADHD. Goodness sakes. How's the baby? Haven't caught any vids of the baby. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Christy, nice to see you, Christy. Well, it's been a really busy day around here. We've been cranking out videos today. The last 24 hours have seen a really big change in the Father Fish channel. Put a video out 9 o'clock this morning, and it is approaching 2,000 views. I think by midnight, it should be at 2,000 views. The game plan is to grow this channel fast and hard, to push it as hard as it can be pushed, and to grow it as fast as it can be grown. And I've got a team of people working with me, including a New York ad agency that's volunteering. There's some serious people behind this who want to see it happen. And frankly, I do too. It's time. I'm 82 years old. I don't know if I got tomorrow morning in me. I got to do everything now. But I guess the reason I'm up here tonight is Isabella. I don't want to lose my roots, because my roots are all of you. The folks I've been with for the last couple of years who've been friends, who have loved me as I have loved you, have been a joy to my heart and a blessing to my life. I think one of the things that we enjoy the most as fish keepers is just sitting around chatting with each other, talking about stuff, talk about fish stuff, talk about other stuff too. But it's a lot of fun to talk about fish stuff because we don't get to do that with most everybody we know. I mean, did you sit around the dining room table at Christmas dinner talking about fish? Probably not. Marky. So we do it when we can. Join a club, get online. That's really what the Discord channel is. It's just a way to chat, talk about the stuff that you really love and really fills in your heart. Let's see what we got here. There we go. How's that? Get glazed over when I talk about fish. I know, Isabella. I know, I do too. That's right. Chew. Hello, Chew. See if everybody here's got a Joe Sneed. Joe, you don't have a wrench. Let's give you a wrench. Add moderator. Oh, hello, Marky. Crusader. Let's see who else is here. Chew. Fred Ankle said I did, but the only one who would listen was my 7-year-old. Well, you got to start him young. That's good. You get them going at 7, they'll be here at 70. Guaranteed. Sketty says my dog always listens. Yeah, I don't have a dog. I need a dog. I would love to have a dog. I'm going to probably wind up getting a cat. I mean, cats are okay. Some cats. Some cats are not okay. I had Tom. Do you remember Tom? I don't want to touch my camera. If I do, it's going to fall all over the place. It is barely perched where it is. If I touch it, it'll fall. Snake is building a 500-gallon and wants to do a deep substrate. Wow. I had a 500-gallon. It was 10 foot. I think it was 30 inches front to back? Was it 3 foot tall? It might have been. And 10 foot long. Some kind of tank. I did. Oh, hey, I did deep substrate in it. You want to do 2 inches of dirt, and you want to make a really good mix. Get a lot of peat moss in there, some loose stuff, in other words, that some humic material. Let me know. I can get you a packet of supplement sufficient for that. I'll just send you a decent sized box of it you can mix in. Potting soil, try to get some material from a creek or a pond or a stream or something. You don't want a whole lot of it because it tends to be pretty intense. And the other thing you can do is get some clay. You can get it wild, so much the better, and emulsify it and mix it in with the soil. That'll get a very high mineral content in that soil. You know what? No, 2 inches. That's all you need. That's probably closer to 3, and that would be okay. 2 inches, 2 plus, between 2 and 3. No more than that. You get more than that, you're going to have trouble. And then put 6 inches of sand on top of it. 6. You could do 4. 4 to 6. 5 is good. 4 to 6. 5 inches of sand. And while you're out there collecting stuff out of the creek, start putting together as much leaves and twigs and rotted material as you can, because you're going to mix that in the top inch of sand, and then add some on the top as well, and plant it as heavily as you can. But here's the thing we haven't really talked about much: the plants. You need to think of this tank as virgin land. Let's say it's a land that's been clear cut. There was a forest and the forest is gone. They've taken all the trees out. So what happens if it's allowed to lay fallow? Well, the first thing is weeds start coming in. Now, what are weeds? Well, we know good and well what weeds are. Guppy grass is weeds. Anacris is weeds. Get weeds going, get it first, and let them take over. Let them get good and strong, and then start putting some bigger stuff in. Vallisneria is good. Val or Sag, if you can get Sagittarius, sword plants are wonderful. Second level stuff is pretty hardy. You can do corkscrew val, do little val, do some of the low growing what's it called, the micro swords. You get some of that going. Those kinds of things are a good second step. Take your time with this. Give it time to develop. You're setting up a 500-gallon tank. You're going to want to have it going for years. So let it go naturally. Don't try to put a bunch of spruce and other fancy plants in there. That'll come in time. That's not what's best to start. You want to start it with what nature does. Think about how nature does this. Think about what happens in that fallow field. The weeds come in. And then that's followed by thickets, bristles, berries, blackberries. What are the berries? Gee whiz. What are the thistles? Well, I think actually the val. I mean, that's a plant that is very opportunistic. And they love to grow in fallow land. So that's a good one. They're like the reeds that grow in the marsh. They could do some of that too. Some stuff that'll come up out of it, maybe. Just go slow and gradual and give each plant a chance to climax. Give it a chance to fully develop. And then begin introducing something stronger, something that fascinates you, that interests you. Something maybe that gets really, really big. But take your time. Set up like a 5-year plan. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Think again of this as a fallow field. And it's going to start small. It'll start with little stuff. And it'll grow and build and become something absolutely amazing. Because it's going to, as it builds, it's building into the soil and into the environment all of the material that dies, all the stuff that grows and maximizes and loses its leaves, gets crowded out, maybe just grows to the point where it overcomes itself and it dies and other things come up. This is the whole principle of life. The principle of life is death. Death is not to be feared. Death is not something to back away from. I mean, I'm not saying you should do yourself in, and I'm not saying you should stand in front of a car, but when your time comes, take it by the hand and wrap your arms around it. I'm 82 and it's coming. I don't know how fast it's coming. I might have another 20 years. Can't imagine, but I didn't know I'd make it to 82. We don't know when. We only know that for sure it's going to happen. And let's make sure that when we die, what's left behind, this is so much what I'm about here. What's left behind is something that's going to feed and nurture others who are coming along. It'll be a source of strength and vigor and nutrition and excitement and joy for them. Make this 500-gallon tank like that, snake. Make it something that's a growing, living, thriving environment that's starting out as a baby and just growing up. Growing up. And when you're an old man, it'll be an old man. It'll be an old, mature tank, like this one behind me here. That's 20 years. That ain't bad. 20 years. It's still putting out, still growing stuff. I don't have a lot of fish in it. I've never really had a lot of fish in it. Never had big fish in it either. I don't think I've had some angels. I don't remember what else that was big. Not much. I'm kind of at a point right now where I don't have a shop near me. And I've tried bringing some stuff in and it's been very unsatisfactory. So I'm kind of in a jam. I need to get up into Delaware to visit Hans. Hans is about an hour's drive from me. I can get up there and get some discus, bring some discus back. I got tanks that would do really well with discus. I'm thinking I'm going to do that. And then this spring, I want to get a friend because I don't want to try to do it alone. But I'm going to get out in the bay around Assateague, Chincoteague, Southern Bay, and the ocean. And I'm going to start collecting pipefish. Well, I really want to get pipefish. Sticklebacks. Get a nice brackish tank going with some of this stuff that I caught when I was a kid. That'll be another tank for this spring. Always something to think about, something to move forward with. Let's see what else is going on here in this chat. We were at 24. Silver Creek. Water baby. What's Spaghetti saying? Oh, scuba diving. Yeah, I did. I've done scuba. I don't trust myself to do it anymore. I can snorkel. I can't. I would be afraid to scuba. I did get licensed. I got licensed in the Cayman Islands. In fact, the guy who trained me, he worked with, who in the world was it? One of the first people who ever did scuba. He was an old man. This was Mercy in 1972, 73. What's that? 50 years ago. 50 years ago, I got certified. I dove in Cayman, in the Keys, in the West Indies. Where else? I don't even remember. Georgia. Was it Georgia? Yeah, Georgia. In an inlet in Georgia. That was interesting. Yeah, that's something everybody needs to do. Shrimp and snails. Hello, hello. And nano fish tails. I love it. If you got metalheads, Jeff Koski. Hello. Jeff has snorkeled in the Great Barrier Reef. My word. Wow. Mercy. That's a dream trip now, isn't it? Yeah, Hawaii's another one. I've done a fair amount of diving um, in the Caribbean. That's really been my forte. Limiotridons. I have not done very much at all with the South American, the Mexican live bearers. Very little. It just, frankly, it's not something that has really interested me. I mean, I know they're endangered and all this, and I know there are a lot of people excited about keeping them. I've had a few, just never got enthused about them. I think I'm too weird. I don't know. I don't know. Phuket, Thailand, fanatical. Diving in Thailand. Every time got mud by huge fish. Wow. Nanoscape, Bahamas and Cozumel. Yeah, I was in, where did I run into sharks? Um, the Keys, Key West. A Bass Pro Shop. You know, we had one here in Salisbury, and it closed down. I don't know where the closest one is. Silver Creek doesn't swim in the Gulf. I used to swim in the Gulf. Not a lot. Not a lot. Jeff Koski has been in Phuket as well. Black tips, 20 of them. Wow. Florida Panhandle. Nona was in the pan. Yeah, that was one of the first places I did deep water snorkeling, where I was free diving to about 30 feet. That was in the Panhandle. The water was clear enough you could see bottom from the top, so I'd swim along, see something I wanted, and went down and picked it up and brought it back. Black tips. There are two black tips. There's a black tip in the Pacific that's a reef fish, and there's one in the Atlantic that's an open water fish. Very different behaviors. Metalheads Aquatic Mayhem. Hello, hello. Limia tridents. Yeah, just don't know much at all about them. I mean, they're a live bear, you know. If you can keep mollies, you can keep, or guppies. I don't know if many people can keep guppies anymore. That's kind of nuts. Phuket, Thailand. Wow. Jeff Koskis was in the Navy, had port visits in Australia. Townsville is where you do scuba and snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef. Wow, how cool is that? North Central Texas, Silver Creek. Silver Creek saying, Skinny, we're trying to have fun here. Let's not talk about the Gulf Coast. I don't know. I lived on it 30 years. Got a big group of them to breed on Black Friday. Huh. Let me try this. I did a picture of them. Let's see if I can move it over to here. What am I trying to do? Oh, there they are. Okay, well, that's cool. Let's see. You got a picture of them here? I don't know what's going on exactly. This has gone through changes. I had it up and then there they are. That is pretty, isn't it? Well, the thing that's interesting about them is that it reminds us about natives. It's I'm sure it's Mexican. It's a goody eye. I would assume it looks like a goody eye. Same family in any case, I'm sure. Let's see. Somebody had a big comment here, Middlehead. Retracted and then posted, and I just saw it. And there it is. Let's see. Let me read this. Gotta get up early. That AM is coming quick. I just wanted to pop in and say hi. Catch you later. Thanks for the stream. Give that Metalhead. Happy to have you stop in. By the way, if any of you have not watched the new video, it's something else. We're catching a little bit of flack from it. Frankly, not a lot. What's kind of interesting is we've been planning this for about a week. And yesterday, mid-afternoon, I caught a video of Corey, who did a video on the very same topic. I was really kind of amazed. He's come a long way, hasn't he? I mean, in a lot of ways, but just in terms of this whole natural aquarium thing, I mean, it's very begrudging, and he's kicking and screaming, but he's got sand in his tanks now. He hadn't put dirt in yet. He hadn't been able to figure that out, and he's having all kinds of problems with his tanks, algae and mulm and sick fish and you name it. And he's just such a hard head. He isn't going to do it the Father Fish way, because that would solve all his problems. And then he'd have to admit that Father Fish was right all along. Because I think it'll happen. The guys who are working with me are telling me I need to call them up and say, hey, Corey, let's do a collab, and I'll teach you how to fix all these problems. And I said, Corey buys people. That's his thing. And the guy who's running the ad agency said, well, that's fine. We're just going to put a few more zeros on that than he expects. Oh, yeah, I know. Sell out to China. Well, bluegill or sunfish or perch Michigan natives eat tropical plants? Probably not. They're not really a plant-eating fish. They're uh, they're an opportunistic feeder, but they're like a bass. I mean, they go after live food, worms, bugs, other fish. They're not going to eat plants. They may root them up. You may have to plant them deeper. But no, there won't be any problem keeping them with plants at all. In point of fact, I kept a lot of fish, big fish with plants. The secret is two things. Number one, plant them deep so they can't pull them out, and plant a bunch of them, not just two or three, 5 or 10, 15 or 20. Plant a lot. What happens, big fish will attack one plant and they'll all go after the same plant. Now, I'm not talking about Oscars who go in there and become earth movers and just pick up a ton of gravel over here and put it over there. That's a whole different kind of thing. And you really want to avoid big Central American fish when you're doing a dirted tank because they're gonna make a mess out of it. There just ain't nothing for it. They're gonna do it. So Kenny, God bless him, has got all these big Central American fish. He can't do a dirted tank. Now his wife has got little tanks, and he does have a few planted tanks. So, but for the big stuff, you're not going to be able to get away with it because they will dig their way to China. They they dig down until they hit base rock, which is the bottom of the tank, and they're going to do it. I mean, it's going to be hopeless. You just don't want to even fight it. Now that does not include things like Africans, things like Jack Dempsey's, like Severum, those kinds of things, umbunas, Malawi cichlids. They're diggers, but they don't go deep. They're fine. And if you got rocks in there to kind of break it up, and if you're going to keep fish like that, keep a lot of them. Build up the population so that, it's not like you got a pair in a 50-gallon tank. I wouldn't even put a pair in a 50-gallon tank, but you could. I would want to have at least 6 or 8. A 100-gallon tank, 25 or 30. I had 200-gallon tanks with mid-sized cichlids, Umbuna-sized cichlids, including South Americans. And I typically had about 50 fish in that tank. I grew plants in it. Never had a problem. They were on each other so much that they really didn't have the leisure of rooting down into the bottom and come in, building a deep nest. There was too much competition. The only one that really did manage to spawn with a nest was the convict cichlids, but they didn't go deep. They were really hardscape spawners. They were laying their eggs on the rocks, and it did have a lot of rocks in there, in addition to a lot of plants. So you can do it. You just have to kind of plan for it. Talking about the tank cracking? Oh no. Crystal used organic soil and peat moss with fatherfish supplements. That's right. That's the best way to do it. Silver Creek's asking Christy if she added FERT amendments or hot soil. Yeah, well, you kind of have to do it. That's really what you're up for when you do a dirted tank. If you don't have humic material in there, you're kind of wasting your time because that's the key to it. Remember, I was talking about having dead stuff in, that's what it is. It's humic material that breaks down and that gets consumed. It breaks down by being consumed. It doesn't break down all by itself. It doesn't sit there and go, bleh. It's not like that. It gets eaten. It gets chewed on. It gets uh, torn up. It gets shredded. It gets bacteria and fungus growing on it that breaks it down. But you need that in order to be able to have an effectively balanced tank. That's what it means. It means having all that stuff. Pretty cool. Sunfish are gorgeous. They are the North American sunfish, bluegill. There's such a variety of them, and there's so much color in them. They really are one of the most colorful fish in the world, anywhere. The color, it's not like it's a solid color, it's usually a rainbow of colors. They're absolutely stunning fish. Crystal's saying, I'm having trouble with plants. How long does it take for a plant to really take off? Mine's 5 months. Well, here it is. Let's go back to basics again. Start with stuff that's going to grow easy. Start with the weeds. What are the weeds? Start with guppy grass. Start with what are some of the algae? Guppy grass is good. Anacris is good. Something that's got roots, but also is going to grow in the water column. Because you want to get control. First thing you need to do is get control of that water column. You want to get the mineralization and the organic material sucked out of it on a continuing basis. So you need enough plants to make sure that you're really controlling the water in a dramatic and a vital way. So those weed plants at the beginning are important for the structure, for the life and the building of that system. You really need them in there right away. And then the other thing they do is they begin to work into the sand. They begin to open it up. They're pulling nutrients out because they'll send deep roots down to that soil, and they'll begin to pull it up. And that's bringing those nutrients up into the water column where they get consumed by other fish. They die and break down, and it begins to build that environment that's so critical for later things to be able to grow in there. So the critical thing, Christy, is don't be anxious, but if you don't have enough going on in there, get some get some more common plants. If you've got something growing in ditches or ponds near you, pull some of those out and put them in. Now, some things do well and some things don't. Most of it is going to do really well because most of it is going to be high intensity kind of plants that are thriving in the water column. Get as much light on it as you can, and get a lot of plants in there. Just throw them in by the handful, and if they die, leave it. Just leave it. Let it stay on the bottom. Give it a chance to settle in. The first few years of a dirted tank are not necessarily the most beautiful because you're trying to get things going, and you're doing it in an environment that's never grown anything before. So you need to be starting where nature starts, which is with the weeds, with the fast growing stuff. To begin to think about it a little differently. Don't worry about having that big center plant that's going to struggle for years until the soil gets built up to the point where it has the kind of nutrients it needs to thrive. It takes a while. I had a 200-gallon that I could grow amazing Amazon swords in. I mean, they just flourished. A tank was set up for 10 years before that happened, before it really began to take hold. There were a lot of other things that grew in there before that. Ludwigi is a good one. If you can get enough light to it, it does want a lot of light. Bacopa's another one. Some of these, so they're pretty plants. Wisteria. Water wisteria is a great little plant. It's pretty, and it'll grow like a weed. It is a weed. I don't want to say duckweed. Don't make me say duckweed. Water wisteria, water hyacinth. Those are all great plants in a new tank. They do well. They grow fast. They take hold, and they do a lot to nurture the soil. We need to really get into the plant thing on this level and talk about it in ways that are really helpful. Don't try to do abuse until your tank is 5 years old. There, I said it. Now, there are plenty of people who'll do it and get away with it. But if you're doing this right, and you get this tank building and developing, by the time it's 5 years old, you'll grow abuse like weeds. They'll explode in the tank. And that's what you want. You want plants that are going to be really happy, not that are going to gasp and struggle and have a hard time and be dropping leaves and wilting, and who needs it? Get stuff that's going to, hooray, glad I'm here. This looks like a home to me. And they put down roots and they grow like weeds and they fill the tank up. Now, here's the thing. You got a tank that fills the plant. A tank that fills the plant. I said that. A plant that fills the tank. That grows so much. It's so happy. It just gloms it up. What do you do about that? What most people do is they start pulling it out. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because when you're pulling plants like that out of the tank, you are taking great, huge hands full of nutrients out of that tank. Nutrients that belong in that tank tank needs and wants, that need to stay in there. Don't take them out. This 40 behind me, 33, whatever. I used it as a mother tank for a while. When I had it at the shop, I was pulling stuff out of there and selling it, using it to seed other tanks. And it reached the point where it would not grow anything anymore. I had pulled out so much nutrient by taking all those plants out, it was starved. The tank was starved. The soil was starved. It took another couple of years to get it back to the point where it began to grow again. So don't pull all that stuff out. What can you do? You can feed it. Chop it up. Chop it up. Let it sink to the bottom. If you have snails, plecostomus, a lot of little fish will eat plants. Stuff that'll eat that kind of plant material. You want to have those kinds of animals in there so that they can help to maintain that balance, to do the conversion. because this plant material needs to be converted. I mean, if you got something that's eating plants, that's wonderful because it's being converted to nutrients. Try to find some plants that won't eat. Not that hard to do. You can do it. Generally, fish will only eat soft plants. They won't eat hard plants. And that's just almost typically true. I used to get buckets full of jungle sagittaria, big, huge 3, 4, 5 foot plants. That wide a leaf, thick, heavy leaf. Friend of mine had ponds, and he grew it in the ponds. And once a month, he'd come in with 2 buckets full, and we would put them in all the tanks, sold them all out. They were so popular they just sold out, but nothing ever ate them. They were too coarse, too hard. We didn't have anything. None of the fish would. I mean, I'm sure crayfish would. They'll eat anything, and I'm sure spixie snails would eat them. Pond snails most certainly would eat them. Apple snails. Apple snails would chew them down to the root and then eat the root. And spixies, terrible snails, terrible snails. But there's the thing. If you've got that kind of environment, put a spixie in there, or 2 or 3, or an apple snail. Let them work on it. Let them cut it down. You're going to have to remove them at some point, but you can get control of it that way without having to get rid of the nutrients in the tank to do it. You're leaving the nutrients in there because that snail is eating them and pooping them out and fertilizing the soil, enriching the tank. Think of ways you can do that. Once you get material in there, you don't want to be taking it out. It's in there for a reason. It's in there to edify that environment, to make it a healthier, stronger kind of environment. Let's see. I'm missing a bunch of stuff here. But you guys are enjoying yourselves. Snake. 20-gallon sea monkey brine shrimp tank growing algae 2 inches in sand. That's such a great fun thing to do. Now there's an easy way to do it. There's a little trick to getting brine shrimp going. If you hatch some brine shrimp, feed out the babies, the water that's left, put it in a tray like a 3-inch deep baking pan, and put it in the sun. You can put it outside in the winter. Right now, it'll freeze solid. Kind of meaningless to do that, but put it where it's going to get a lot of sunlight, and just let the sun beat on that, and it'll grow algae. And you will, in a week, you're going to have full-grown brine shrimp in there. Won't be a lot of them, but they'll be in there. And that'll get you enthused about doing something a little bigger. You don't need a lot of depth. 6 inches is all you ever need for brine shrimp, because you want the sunlight to penetrate to the bottom and get the algae growing, because that is exclusively what they eat. They eat algae, typically single-celled algae, green water algae, if you will. But that's a great way to be able to do brine shrimp, and to have enough that you can, every once a week or so, you can harvest some and feed them to your special guppies or whatever. Yeah, Silver Creek's got it. Silver Creek has got. If you haven't been on Discord, get over there and check it out. Silver Creek's on there, and he's posting all the time. Also, the 24/7 live stream, which we're doing 24/7, has a lot of Silver Creek's tanks on it. Mine's on there when I get it working. I think it's on there right now, and some others. And we do want more. We're going to be getting more. Kevin Rosenberg's got some magnificent tanks. We're trying to get him on there. ABC's been on. I don't know. I think he's had trouble with equipment, but we're working on ways to solve that problem as well, so we can get inexpensive equipment for folks. 120-gallon Molly tank. It's on the 24/7. Yeah, Silver Creek. That's a great tank too. That's a lot of fun. Snake keeps the lights on 16 to 18 hours. Yep. I have a lot of tanks, new tanks. I'll leave the lights on 24/7 for weeks, maybe months. In fact, this tank back here, that's got a light that stays on it 24/7. Then I've got another one I turn on and off. So it gets a more intense light, then it goes down to a dimmer light. But what I leave on it is two 40-watt, 4-foot fluorescent strips that are on continuously 24/7. Fanatical decided to get rid of my 400 liter, replace it with a bunch of smaller ones. I'm with you, Fanatical. I really am. If you're limited on space, man, get little tanks. You can get, and you can do so much more with 10 little tanks than you can one big tank. It just makes it a lot more fun. I'm not streaming on Rumble. Aquarium. You know, that's interesting. Have I in the past, do you know, been streaming on Rumble? I was thinking about that. I really need to do it. I'm not sure why that is. I don't really understand how I'm set up on Rumble. Um, oh, I know why. Because I didn't send it to Rumble. I need to do that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Aquarium's maintained by Andy. I need to get um, the code for Rumble so I can put it on my StreamYard and then send. I've got an automatic upload on Rumble for videos, but it probably does not pertain to live streaming. So, and I really want to get on Rumble and do live streaming. I mean, that's kind of the main thing that's happening there, I guess. Yeah, I'll try to get that set up. Very cool. Kevin's going to breed his Medica rice fish in a 45-gallon tub. You betcha. Yeah, I want to be able to do that too. I've got to get some stuff this spring from Andres at Bioaquatics and get some outdoor ponds going. I've got about 10 40-gallon tubs. I was going to set them up this fall. I can't do it now. The problem is I don't have an outdoor faucet. I got to run a hose from my kitchen sink to be able to get water outside. But I may just do that and get those things filled. Truly, the rain will fill them. I've got a 70-gallon barrel out there that's full to the brim that was filled by rainwater. Skitty doesn't have rice fish. You need to get some. They're really nice. We're trying to get some going. That's a fish that we can ship pretty easily. Or cold-blooded fish. All fish are cold-blooded, Snake. You mean northern climb, cold water fish. That's yeah, but most of what I got is natives. I bettas and a few cories, then the rest of it, except for one pleco, are native fish. And it's mostly Formosa, which is a sweet little fish. But there also are a few golden top minnows, Fundulus, Creotis. and some blue line killies, bluefin killies. Spirulina. Spirulina works okay. If you can get algae growing, it's so much better. It's getting Nana wants to get her fish back outside. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Oh, don't see anything else. Pennsylvania. There's a lot of cool stuff in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania fish preacher. Hey, hey, nice to see you. I don't. Hmm. Yeah, Chris Trapp is saying Vallisneria moss, Pogus stemencellatus, the octopus all grow wild. Yep, there's a lot. There's a lot you can put in your tank right away that are gonna that don't require a whole lot of um, sophisticated soil, if you will. Pennywort. Yep. African cichlids on a dirty substrate. That's Drine centos. Then you give Drine a wrench. Yeah, I've done that, and I like it. I think it's cool, and I think the fish enjoy it. It's certainly not native; they're not used to it. But I think they. What is going on? My my fan is rattling. Silver Creek has Buse in it. 2 month old tank. Well, you can do it, and you can. You know, I, none of this is hard and fast. It's just a matter of doing what works. It's yeah. I mean, you can create an environment that's got pretty pretty old soil in it, if you will. Most is not, but if you work at it, you can do it. Garden soil. If it's a nice garden, that's perfect. Dead leaf litter on terrestrial plants should be burned if the leaf is dying and fails prematurely. Um, yeah, it may not if it is diseased. Of course, the value of burning is it gets the carbon in the soil quicker, and carbon is really the key to the whole system, increasing that carbon base. I try to get as much carbon in my soil as possible. My supplements are now probably 25-30% soil. I mean carbon. I have a lot of carbon in the of different kinds in the supplement. Native crypt-like plants, nice. Potassium. Potassium's important. You know where you get potassium? I got it in my supplement. Epsom salts. Epsom salt contains potassium. Never pull dead leaf matter out. That's right. That's right. Hiericthes labradans. So get a picture here. We do. Come on. Oh, great fish. Let's see. I had a bunch of these in Florida. Euryctes labradans. Stunning fish. I had a bunch of them that I got from a guy who had raised them, and he was moving to Seattle. They were big too. I don't know. I think we wound up. Andy had them. I put them in his system, and when the storm came and wrecked everything, I think he managed to get them all sold or get them all out. Wonderful, wonderful fish. They get about a foot. Oh, Snake's gonna do all native fish. Oh man, isn't that awful? I know they're killing all the plants in the lakes. How ignorant, how fundamentally ignorant. What does that do? When you kill all the plants, you remove the ability to filter the water, to pull heavy metals out. You create a toxic brew. It becomes unlivable. Kill the plants. Ignorant people, I tell you, it's astounding. Just astounding. By the way, a little known fact here. Since 2020, in 2 years, carbon emissions have increased to the level that plant life on the earth has increased by 25%. Or maybe it's 20%. I don't remember. It's a big number like that. Think about that. Think about that. We go on and on. Our politicians go on and on about what a terrible thing carbon is in the air. You know what carbon is? CO2, carbon dioxide, CO2. You know what happens to it? It grows plants. It is food for plants, and they love it, and they get all of it they can. They just gobble it up, and it makes more plants. 20% more plants. I need to get the number. 20% more plants on the earth now than there were when Biden took office. And they are doing their damnedest to stop it. Tell me that makes sense. Is there any other way than the father fish way? There is every other way. And you're welcome to try any you like. And when you're on your knees and your eyes are full of tears and your hands are down to the bone and you can't control your bowels, then come crawling back and we will save your sorry butt. Somebody said today, they got another way to do it. It works real well. They don't put sand on their dirt. They just got dirt. Dirt. It's perfect. Works great. Works 50% of the time. So I said, that's cool. You got a system. That's neat. We have a system that works 100% of the time. It never fails. Never. The only time I have ever known it to fail was a very elderly couple who came into my shop, and I sent them home with a 10-gallon tank that had the dirt in it and the sand on it. Even sent them some water. And I said, now, when you put this in, do it carefully. You don't want to mix it up. They came back the next day. They were irate. Irate. They were so angry that I'd sold them such a mess. It was awful. They dumped the water in, and it just made a muddy mess. So I gave them their money back. Told them, sorry it didn't work for you. You know what they did. I mean, you know what happened. They stuck a hose on it, blasted it in there, got everything all stirred up. It won't work if you do that. Guaranteed won't work. That's fail. You can screw it up. It is possible. It takes some serious effort and some even more serious stupidity, but you can do it. If you're dumb enough, you can do it. Nah, not even dumb. Dumb people don't do things like that. If you think you're smarter than Father Fish, you can screw it up. You know what's amazing to me is how many smart alecks have not failed. Now I know one or two who have, and that's basically they failed because they did 6 inches of dirt and 1 inch of sand because they thought that would be better, or they did gravel instead of sand because they don't like sand, or they did I don't know, they did sewerage poop instead of dirt because they thought it'd be richer. Not a bad idea, but you gotta put a lot of sand on it. So it can be done. Barbie doll. Give Barbie doll a wrench here. I want to convert 2-year-old 10-gallon to planted. Just put sand on top of it. You want 1.5 inch 10-gallon tank, 1.5 inch of sand. Do it in 1/4 to 1/2 inch increments. Do it like 1/2 inch, and then 2 weeks later or a week later, do another 1/2 inch. Do it gradually, in other words, and get it built up so you've got about 1.5 inches of sand. That's all you need to do. That'll keep the bacteria, keeps everything in there. And it'll allow, excuse me, it'll allow the humic material, the mulch, to sift down into the sand and get into that substrate. That'll work. It's simple, it's effective, and it's not going to cause you to have to tear anything up. Yeah, Sarah Craig makes an important point here. If you got tanks that melt, leave the roots in there. Anubias is a perfect example. Anubias will frequently, you plant them and they melt, but the roots are in there, and those roots are going to grow. And they will grow thick enough that by the time they start shooting plants up, you got 2 or 3 plants coming up where there was one, and they'll just go crazy. May take 6 months, may take a while, but don't just yank them out. Leave them in there. Anything you put in, leave it in. If it dies, leave it in. Don't take it out. You can bury it, push it down in the sand if it bothers you. Africans and big parrot snake wants to give away. A note of feeling. Yellow labs are crazy dickers. Yeah, they are. Snake ones. Native minnows and lake shiners. Yeah, there's some really pretty stuff. Pretty native fish. U.S. natives are beautiful fish. A lot of them. All right, where are we at here? What time is it? 11:30. Almost. What time did we start this? Don't know. We got 36 people here. I don't know what time we started. 9:30, I think. We've been at it for 2 hours. Doesn't seem like. Don't know. Doreen Santos, I thought I gave you a wrench. I did. The Sora, I didn't. The Sora Tees. Oh, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I needed to talk fish. I'm not in the club anymore. I left my club, missed my club. My club's in Venice and I'm in Salisbury, Florida. There's no club here. There's no fish store here. There's no pet shop here. There ain't nothing here. Nothing. I am bereft. I'm going to get it together though. Andy, did I give you a wrench? I did. See what else is in the chat here. Kevin, I'll hang out with Father Fish anytime. Thank you, Kevin. That's very nice. Yeah, 75 is fine. 75, the only issue with 75 as a temperature is that if it drops below 70, you could start getting problems with tropicals because they don't like anything that cold. I like to keep tropicals at 80. Natives 70 to 75 or even cooler is fine. Known as saying 140 miles to go to a big box. Oh, God, that's terrible. And that ain't hardly worth the trip. Oh. Hey. Silver Creek, 85, 80 Fahrenheit. Hard water. I think that's a perfect temperature for tropicals. 80 degrees, 80 to 82. I don't like to keep them in the 70s. I think they do better in the low 80s. Oh. All right. I'm getting tired. I got to go to bed. I was up all night. I think I laid down around 11 o'clock, slept for an hour, and then I was up. The fellow who's doing my editing right now he pulled an all-nighter. He spent the entire night editing the current video. And we made some real breakthroughs. Let's see where it's at. Let's see where it is at. YouTube Studio. Here we'll go. We'll go together and look at it. Studio. Cycling is a myth. Had a little feedback on that, haven't we? Let's see. Content. Want to get to the video. Cycling is a myth is at 148. Biologists claim nitrogen cycle is a myth. Busted. is, let's see where it's at. It says 1560 there. Let's go over. And it is at 2075. Look at that. Broke 2000 at 14 hours, 13, almost 14 hours. So it's going to slow down. It doesn't look like it's slowing down. I mean, that's a pretty good, look at that. It's climbing. It's climbing better now than it did at the beginning. And it was taking off at the beginning. Let's see, give you an idea. This is, let's see, 10 hours, 12:20, 10 hours. It is now at 13, 14 hours. So that's 4 hours, 10:20, 1,000. Is that right? 12:20. So 800, 850, 850 in the last 2 hours. That is gangbusters. Here it is, 48 hours. Let's do 12 hours, 60 minutes, 12 hours, 1 hour. 250 in the last 60 minutes. Gangbusters. 13 hours, 275, 1778. Can you be 18 to 2, yeah, that's 250 right there. Yeah, 250 in the last hour. So this, I can't imagine it's going to keep doing that overnight. Usually it goes way down. Right now it's still going up. We'll see where it's at in the morning. Pretty exciting stuff. Let's see what the reach is. Ooh, that's going up too. 14K. We're at 10%, 9.6. Almost 10% of the people who see this pop up click on it. That's pretty good. Normally it's 3 to 4%. So we're 3 times higher than that. But then we got this dynamite thumbnail. Look at that. Nitrogen cycle debunked with the father there. It says watch now and the tank in the back. Too cool. Too cool. All right, my dears. What is this? Are we done? Get down to the bottom. We got about 500 comments in here, I think. I can't get them buried below 81. What is that? Rams. Oh, that's right. Rams won't even survive below 80. I mean, they get sick below 80 degrees. 82 minimum for rams. 85 is better. They will not breed below 80. Absolutely. Oh. Silver crepe below 81. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Thank you, Isabella. Says it's a terrific video. I assume this is what she's talking about. Better be. One dirty platy. Goodness sakes, happy to see you. Now I screwed up. Did you see the new masthead? Have you seen this? Look at this. What are we doing? I've totally lost track of where I am. Is that, oh yeah, okay, we're still there, right. Do you like that? Isn't that cool? All right, boys and girls. Fun to be with you. I just felt like I really had to get up here and talk with friends. Nice. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, hit the like button and get over there and share that that video. Get it out to some friends on Facebook or wherever you are. Try to get it out. We need we want to get this thing really growing, and it's going to take a lot of help from a lot of people to make it happen. It's really going to be up to you guys and to all of our friends if we're going to get this channel really growing. The most important thing you can do, I know you've already done the share and click the button and the bell and like. The most important thing you can do is share the video because that gets it to new people directly. And if we can get them to share it, that's how we get this thing growing. And share it on other platforms. That's perfectly fine because they'll come in, particularly if the video is there or if you can post the link. Try to share generally includes getting the link to that other platform. So please try to do that. Click the share button and go somewhere else where you are in this electronic world, and send out the word. Love you all. I'll be back. We're going to do more of this. We're trying to come up with something that'll be fun and enjoyable. And what's that, 37? Pretty good for not announcing anything. Love you. Bye for now. Have a great evening and a happy new year. If I don't talk to you before, have a wonderful new year. God bless. Bye for now.